Mic check. Yeah, you can hear it now. Oh, fuck. Good looks. Alright. So, my bad about that. I did not notice that the sound was off. So I'm going to go ahead and take it from the top. So, we're going to start back out in the weekly. My apologies for that. You guys should all be able to hear me now. So, first thing that I want to do on EU is jump towards the weekly time frame, right? So the idea of this is I simply want to see more or less what direction I can get off of this weekly time frame, right? So something I want to point out is as of December 1st, we clearly have been bullish on EU, right? Obviously, if we look in like a very, very, very large perspective, we're bearish, but as of December 1st, which is roughly over 4 months ago, we've been trading bullish, right? Why? Because we created this low, which is here on the weekly. We broke, created this higher high, pulled back, created this higher low, pushed towards the upside, pushed back, and on this pushback, we did not break the higher low. We created a higher low, excuse me. Now we're pushing towards the upside, right? So last week, this bullish candle that we can see here was essentially the test to see if we would break below the structure and push towards lower prices, or if we were going to actually hold this price and then continue towards the upside like we've been doing since December. So obviously we held and we saw this large bullish volume kick in at that key price level, which is 79.32, let's call it more or less. 79.32, give or take. So I'll show you guys this price point and how I reacted to this area in a second. But for right now, let's jump towards the daily time frame. And we want to see more or less how these structure points are playing out on the daily time frame, right? So if I leave my cursor here, pop open this daily time frame, we notice that that first structure was initially this hold that we see here. The daily time frame created that structure at this price that we see here, and then we pushed, and then throughout last week we noticed that we created a higher low right around this area here, and then we pushed towards the upside again. So on this push here, we want to see, I'm going to go ahead and unmute the drawings. We want to have these areas, well, what I was saying before was that if we box out this candle that's here on the daily time frame, you're going to notice that this push gave a push right into that area and we held it, right? So if I unmute this drawing, you'll see this box here. We gave a push to this box and we held, and then we pushed towards the upside, right? Now, if I dive down very quickly, let's say 30-minute time frame, you guys will see the entry playing off of this price point perfectly. Reject, push, reject again, and then obviously my entry was a bit later because this was a London move, but I caught the continuation up out this side. So let me not skip steps and come back to the daily time frame. So now that we're on the daily time frame, I'm going to mute this again to show you guys something that's very important for this week. So what's going to be important and very key for EU this week is this price point that we're tapping and rejecting into right now. If you look at this area here, obviously this is the previous area of supply that created this push towards the downside, and we're now rejecting and closing right at this price point. So if we see the shift in volume when we attack this area, we had obviously a large bullish candle, another large bullish candle, and then volume switched off here, started to die off, close as a doji, and now we're rejecting this area now. That price point is 83.76, 83.80, let's call it 1.0 83.80. So that price point that we have here, we want to see more or less how we react to this price point throughout the start of this week. So I'm going to mark that out, and I have it, as you guys can see here, as daily major structure. Now when I dive down to the H4 time frame, we can see more or less how we are reacting to this area. And let's pop this open. And cool. So as daily major structure, we want to see more or less how we start to react throughout the open of the week at this price point. And I am going to leave you guys with a few other price points that are going to be key for this week. First being 83.76. Now the second price point being I would say right around the 86.21 price point, right? Where we have this area of interest on higher time frame. This area of supply, which is here, I'm gonna leave this is from last week, I'm gonna leave this area of supply here just in the case that we reject to here throughout London session tonight. But if we break above here, which is the previous high of day, then it is very, very, very highly possible for this to continue this push towards this zone here before we either give a move back towards the downside or the continuation up towards the upside. So I would keep this zone right here, which is the area of interest, at 86.55. Key this out, wait to see more or less how we react to this area, and then 83.75 being the price point we want to see how we react to right now throughout Asia and London session. Pretty simple. All the lines that you see here are up to date. We have the low of day, high of day, and our previous high and low of days. But as of right now, my bias is still bullish up until this box that we have here. If we reject to this area and create a lower high, then I potentially would look to short towards this zone here. But if we break above this zone, then I'll look for continuations to break this area and give us a push towards the weekly high of last week. So for EU, it's very, very simple, more or less what I'm looking for. The only three areas that I'll be looking to take an entry from would be the one that we're at now, this area above here, and then if we create an area of supply throughout London like this, then I will look for a push to take out the low of day and to come like this. And we'll move this because the open of the week is right here, right there. So very important, 83.78. I'll have that marked out for the majority of the week to see how we react to this area. Now I'm gonna switch over to dollar very quickly to give you guys an analysis on this, and I'm gonna mute the drawings, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna start from this weekly area and work our way down. Obviously weekly, same thing. We looks like we are pushing bullish here. So with that being said, as this looks like we are pushing towards the upside, right now I am anticipating a slight pullback throughout the week before last, 3 weeks ago. So 2 weeks before last, I'm gonna be looking for a slight pullback into this imbalance that we have here for a potential continuation up towards these higher price points. So with that being said, if dollar does start to push towards the downside, that will obviously give us our EU buy. Now, if we do find an area of demand down here on dollar, then we will obviously switch and be on the sell side of EU once we reject down here. So when it comes to the daily time frame, one of the main areas that we want to key out here is going to be this area here, 104.213, which is essentially the higher low that we created. And we'll just put this daily. Now I'm going to delete a lot of these old lines. And here we are. So the higher low on the daily has shifted to this area. Obviously it looks like we closed below, but this broker's prices are all over the point, so I'd probably just say that they are closing at the same area more or less. So next thing I want to do after the daily time frame is jump to the H4, refine these zones, and jump down to the H4. We notice that we very, very, very slightly closed above this price point here, which would have been our buy signal to continue this towards the upside. But now that we broke this low, which is right here on the daily time frame, I'm going to be looking for a continuation of this pullback towards the downside, right? If we were to hold this low, then I could say that we could take out this high. But given the fact that we actually closed below, give a push up, and then close below again, I'm going to be waiting to see if we can get a bearish move prior to holding any area down, let's say like here, before we hold any of these structure points to continue back up. Right, so ultimately I will be looking for a sell right around like this area for dollar. We're on the daily, we're on the H4, so I'll find like a more of a relative area, but I'll be looking for something like this on dollar before we get this continuation to the upside. I'm gonna delete this. Now, first thing I want to do after H4 is look at the 2 hour. Look at the 1 hour now. Now we notice there's an area of supply, which is right here. Right, if I write this as supply, we notice that price rejected to this price point and gave a bearish move. Come to the 30-minute, and I'm going to write up our high and lows of the day. So low of day right here. High of day. Thursday, right here. So Thursday's high of day right here. And Friday's low, Friday's high, Thursday's low, Thursday's high, which would be the previous day. This area here is supply. I'm gonna write this out so there's no confusion for anybody that hasn't seen my markups before. So that'll be very clearly, supply is here. What do we have below here? Okay, do that, do this. Cool. So very key price point is going to be, like I mentioned, this daily higher low that was formed. If we start to see London and Asia session as well close below this structure point, then I'm going to look for a push to take out this previous low, hopefully throughout New York session if everything plays out as planned. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark this up just to show you guys more or less what I'm looking for. I'll look for London session to create an area of supply for it to pull back and hopefully catch New York right around this price point going down. Obviously we're not trading dollar, but I'm gonna be looking for this similar move to play out throughout New York session. Now, if London session creates an area of demand at this area, and it's very noticeable to the point where it holds, breaks above a structure and holds back, then I'll potentially be looking for the dollar long to take out this high of day, possibly hold this area of supply. I don't know exactly what's going to happen after this, but my main focus is catching dollar going from here up to here if this does in fact happen throughout London session. So if dollar is to be holding this higher low, then I'll look for the area of demand to be formed, push, pull back. Hopefully New York session leaves us off around here towards the upside, giving an EU sell. Obviously they move opposite, so if we get this to hold below, then the EU buys will play out, right? So very, very simple. Like, I'm gonna leave both of these examples up at the same time, just so you guys can see, and I will ultimately be looking for something like this alongside something like this on both, something like that on both sides. Right, so something like this on either side would be ideal for what I'm looking for dollar. So short below this higher low, excuse me, and if we do hold this higher low on the daily time frame, create an area of demand, pull back, I'll look for the long position on dollar, and if we hold below this area, I'll look to short dollar. Right, giving us both of our trade ideas on EU. I'm gonna go ahead and set these up so you guys can see the same idea on EU. For EU, the exact price points are going to be, if we already have an area of supply right around this area, right? We have the daily major structure, which is right below that pink line, and we obviously have an area of supply which is right above here, where we pushed, rejected, pushed, rejected, push, pulled back, rejected to the T again. The area of supply here had shifted to this area here. Right now, if you see this, then we rejected this area, push, came back, push. Right, so as these areas of supply start to refine, if I move it from here to this area here where it was formed, then you can see how we actually tried to push and reach this area and continue, right? Now if I move this area to here, then you'll start to see that if price reacts below this area, then possible they're creating a new area of supply here to push yet again down towards the downside, right? So to leave you guys with the drawing of what it was that I wanted to see, I want to see, first things first, I need to see this structure point on the 30-minute get closed above. That's going to be the main sign for us to know that we're continuing towards the upside. If we can hold above, pull back, and create an area of demand, then I'll look to take out the high day and take us into this box which we have here, right? And I will put something like this, stops below this area here, realistically like right below that wick, and then continuation towards the upside. Now if a new area of supply is to be made right around this white line here, then what I'll do is I'll wait for it to validate it with a push, more or less like an engulf that we see like this, or like this candle here. Give a pull back, give a slight push, give a pull back, and then I'll take this out with our target being, or entry being right around like this area, targets being to take out this low that are here, and then obviously fill this imbalance from last week Friday and potentially tap the low of day and get into this box here. So I'm going to leave this like this as well, and I will drop pictures of both of these on the Discord so you don't have to screenshot this or anything. Now I'm going to transition into US30 very briefly and give you guys my outlook for the week as well. So let's go ahead and start off. Same routine. We're obviously going to mute everything so there's not a bunch of drawings, and we're going to start off on the weekly. So obviously last week was one of the first bearish weeks that we've had in a very long time. Obviously US30 has been on an insane bull run. Obviously we've had like minor pullbacks, but overall this has been very bullish, and we have just now seen for the first time like a very, very large pullback. Now given that last week left us off very close to this structure point that we have here, to give you guys the exact price is going to be 387.32.8. So at that 387.32.8 price point, I don't see price breaking that this week. But then again, last week gave roughly about like 859 points as the actual push its own. But if we get the whole entire week, we gave around like 147 points towards the downside, right? So 147, my bad, that's 1,047. Yeah, I'm bugging. 1,047. So if we get something similar to that, then let's see where that would leave us off. Okay, it's not drawing, so let's see. That'll leave us off like, yeah, we obviously would definitely break this structure point. So I'm not gonna put it past breaking that structure point, but I'm gonna go down to the daily time frame to show you guys the exact structures that I'm looking to be broken. So I'm gonna go ahead and unmute this, and here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to I wanna erase everything to show you guys, but there's a few key examples here that I don't want to erase, so I'm gonna delete a few just to let's erase some of these. Fuck it, let's start from there. And shit. Alright, cool. So first things first, we'll obviously look at the weekly. We have our direction, give or take, that we want to look for US30, which is me just simply looking, analyzing, noticing the structure points that we left behind, noticing the structure points that can be broken on either side, A, B. Okay, cool. Take note of that. Dive down to the daily, refine those zones, see how we look. Obviously, the sell signal was right here for the week before last, which would be like the last week of March, where we gave a bearish push, pulled back, failed to break that high. This wick was obviously a fake out. Now we gave a huge pull to the downside. Now, as you guys can see here, the first area that is very key is this daily structure. Why? Because we had a huge push towards the downside where we actually held this structure here. So in theory, yes, we just did create a higher low and price could continue up towards the upside. Now, where the catch is on this is the fact that we have been on such a long uptrend that we could anticipate a pullback towards the downside, and a very large one at that, right? So first thing that I want to key off here is going to be this daily area that's right here, right? So it's going to be that white line, daily MS, which obviously stands for daily major structure. That's going to be the first thing that I want to key off. Towards the bullish side, there isn't too much to key off. We do have like this area, it's right around here, that I want to see how we react to. But prior to that, this is more important to me given that we just pushed and rejected to the T. So I'm going to pop open the H4 and look to refine these zones. Let's see how we look. Alright, we're not going to see a structure too great on H4 as well. Probably see it a little bit better here. Now the next thing that I'm going to do though is obviously move this to the open of the week, which is right here at this candle that opened bullish. So the new open of the week is obviously wherever the week opens on Sunday 5 p.m. So Sunday 5 p.m. open up here. I'm going to move that and have that set as the open of the week. We're going to go ahead and move our high and lows. So Friday's high of day is going to be right here. Friday's low of day. Friday's low of day is going to be right here. That is crooked. All right, cool. So the low of day is here. The high of day is here. Now I'm going to go ahead and take these and mark up our previous low and day. So Thursday's previous low of day is down here at this push that rejected this zone, and I'm going to label this off as previous low of day. Next thing, we're going to move this towards here, which I'm assuming this is the high of day. Yep, previous high of day. Got that. Cool. All right, so now that we gave ourselves a zone to trade in, what we did was obviously we started off on the weekly and we had weeks and weeks and months of time and prices to trade in between, and we refined that to a daily area, refined it to the H4, refined it to a H1. So now we gave ourselves like a little ballpark to play in between this high of low, this low of day, this low of day, and this high of day. Why is that? Because we cannot even get to this previous high of day without breaking the high of day. We can't get to that low of day without breaking the low of day. So when price gets to either of these areas, I want to see how we can react to this area to capitalize a push this way, or to capitalize a hold and a push back towards the low, right? So that is the importance of giving ourselves that zone. So now we have the previous high and low, the low and day, and the open of the week. Next thing that I want to do is look at this area, this zone that we have, which the bottom of the zone is going to give us 30,950. 39,048, let's call it. 39,048. Now, why this is important, why this is key? Because if I come to the H4, we're going to notice that this area gave this push towards the downside right in this area here. Push towards the downside, push back, reject. Push towards the downside, push back, reject. Major push to the downside. Cool. After we traded above this area, we notice we use this area once again here. Broke above structure, rejected to the T, gave this push towards the upside. Came back down to this area, rejected to the T, gave this push towards the upside. News gave this wick rejection here, and another push towards the upside. So it's very obvious that this area is an area of liquidity, and this area is very important, right? So I just want to keep this here for the week, simply because we are reacting to the zone. So it could still be a very valid area of liquidity. Obviously on Friday afternoon, we pushed to this area, rejected, pushed back, and then we lingered around this price point now. So for an idea of what I'm looking for this week is going to be this, right? We're pushing towards the upside, filling in this imbalance from Thursday. So I want to see if this fill of this imbalance is already done. Obviously, we can pull out our fib and come from here and take us to here and see that we fell short of the 62, but we're clearly closing above this 50%. So for this week, ultimately what I want to see for the start of the week is to see if we're going to push and give a higher retracement closer to a previous area of supply, or if price wants to, and I'm going to delete this out of the way, reject this area to the T and then push towards the downside once again. So what I'm going to wait for throughout pre-New York and New York session tomorrow is to see if we can hold above this structure here. If price holds above this structure on the 15-minute, and I'm going to make it yellow, and I'm going to move it here. If price holds above this price point on the 15 or 30-minute, then I'm going to wait and see if we can get a grab into this box here, right? If we start to form an area of demand above this high, then I'll be looking to take out the high of day from this price point. Why that's important? Because as you guys can see right here, we just caught a trade very similar to this. Price rejected the area. Once price closed above the area, it continued to push towards the upside. So something like that could happen here and push back to complete this fill of this imbalance. But if we do reject this area, then I'll be looking for a sell towards the downside to simply fill in this imbalance from Friday. So I'm going to give this a cool little sketch so you guys can see more or less what it looks like and what I'll be looking for. And I would say somewhere like in there is where I would be looking to take the buy. If we create structure, something like that, stops below like anywhere from here to there. Now, if we do sell, I need this structure point right here to be closed below, because if we're going to sell, we should be breaking this structure point without any issues. So I'll be looking for something like that, pull back, and then realistically, I want to see this structure at 38,912 be closed below. But if you're looking for a riskier entry to have like more profit, I would look at this entry right here. But I'll give you guys both entries either way. Look for something like that. We'll put the stop like right above this structure to be exact. I'll use this price point as my stop. If price breaks above this 15-minute, we really do not want to be holding this. Even though we could reject like this and drop, it makes no sense. I would take the smaller L here and then get in at this yellow line if we do end up rejecting it. So riskier entry on the sell side would look something like this for US30, right? The yellow area being the main deciding factor in this whole move. If we push up, use this area of supply, I'll look to sell. Now if we blow above this area, I'll look for an area of demand to buy from, take out this high day, and complete this push towards this way, which ultimately on the H4 would just be us filling the rest of this imbalance, right? So with that being said, I am going to leave all these drawings in the Discord. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to skim back through all of the ideas just to make sure everybody is on point. For EU, if we hold above this structure here, give a play like this, I'll look for it to pull back, and I'm targeting this zone up here. Easily 23 pips from where we're at right now. If we break above that area, which I don't know if we are going to, we're looking at like 30 plus. If we simply get to this area, we're looking at like 20 to 25, depending where you get in. If we do break below the daily major structure, I'll be looking for a sell, for a pullback of Friday's move. Same thing, giving us at least 20 to 30 points towards the downside. But I am going to clean up these drawings. I had to rush since I ended up starting this call a little bit late. So I'm going to clean up these drawings and send like a detailed breakdown in the Discord. If you guys do have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to me. And if not, I hope you guys enjoyed the call and make some money. I appreciate you guys for tuning in.